Hey, good morning, gamers. Welcome to the BlueGamer Bluecast morning show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, professional video game enjoyer for past 30-something years, so I have a lot to talk about. So every weekday morning, I'll jump into the latest news and what I've been getting into. I feel like I have a lot to share. Ultronimus, good to see you. Good morning. All right, well, let's get started. So what did I get into yesterday video game-wise? That's how I always start these. And, it actually wasn't too much. The main thing I got into yesterday was, again, some more Dragon's Dogma 2. I guess something happened, and I forgot what... Okay, so I'm, like, near the end of the game where I could just... complete the game, but I was really curious about New Game Plus because then I look on the map and I was like, man, there's more places I could go to. And when I did research on, like, what does New Game Plus allow you to do? Is it gonna give me all my stuff so I can start a new game with everything? Is the map revealed? What's going on? But as I was researching that, it started talking about like this alternate world. And I was like, okay, what's this? So apparently, just like in Metroidvania, there's a certain point in the game at the end where it then unlocks like an alternate version of that entire world without the water and the oceans, and you could walk across and there's things to explore. I'm like, okay, so this game does even more. And how many hours am I in? 54, which I think for typical like RPG or JRPG standards, that's kind of like early on. No, I'm joking. That's like midway through. But for an RPG like this, like when I play a Souls game, usually by now I've beaten it. I think Elden Ring is different. I clocked in over 100 hours on that. Another thing that happened yesterday that was crazy. When I discovered that, I was like, okay, well then let me just get what I want to get so then I can go to the last boss, and do all that. And this is where I start looking stuff up online, because what happens is I will want to have something or an item and I don't know really how to get it, and I'll look it up because this game is super crazy about that stuff. Which I like. I like over time actually looking up stuff if I really can't figure it out, and sometimes it opens up the game to me even more, like I just mentioned with this other world possibility. And then the thing where it's like, oh, I need this, so like, okay, go talk to this person. So I do, and then I realize, wait a minute, there's this whole other part of this game then that I will do before I can get this next item I need. And it's like, man, there's so much more to this game. It just keeps going, and it's just in the stuff that happens is crazy, because I will be this happened yesterday. Do I have the screenshot up? Yeah, let me share this screenshot actually, because I was in the main town, the main village. That's funny, isn't it? And I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go, questing out to where I need to go. But before that, a dragon landed in the center of town, and that's the first time that's ever happened. I have seen other monsters, but a dragon, and I haven't killed that many dragons. There's not that many, and they are hard to beat. What was so awesome about the dragon landing in the middle of town was then all of the other NPCs that are weapons-based NPCs all come in and join and help. Like, there's already, like, in that screen, it's hard to see, but there's already people up at the dragon ready to fight it. And then it was funny, did I mess it up again? There was a time where it was jumping up to fly and it got stuck atop the gate. So I was doing headshots with the arrow, magic archer arrow. And then it landed back. It's fun though. See, I'm at a point in this game where I am super powerful, and my pawn is, so it's like easy to take out things, and I'm not too worried. What's fun about this now is the exploring. When you don't have to worry too much, you can just explore. Anyway, great game. I keep playing it. And it's funny, I went like 2 weeks without playing it. I took a little break and came back, and man, it's just so good. And then I'm trying to think of anything else I got into yesterday gaming-wise. I don't think I did. It was just a day full of work. Kids come home after school. And it was later on where I got into some Dragon's Dogma. I mean, I really want to get back to a Castlevania game, because just sitting back and exploring a castle is so fun to do. Is it comparable to reading a book? Some video games are different than others, but with Castlevania, I am constantly watching the environment, looking for, thinking, where do I go? What do I do next? Got to fight this enemy. Got to jump over this. Like, my mind is constantly being, what's the word? Challenged, triggered to think. And sometimes I feel like, man, am I getting the same thing I get out of reading a book? I don't know. Probably. I always, and I was thinking about this yesterday when I saw a stream and someone behind them had books, and there's someone that I didn't take as a reader. I'm like, I think that's just my own prejudice because I don't read often and I need to. But I get it out of video games and internet. Okay, that was kind of a tangent, but let's jump into some news. Before we get into news, some news from yesterday that I found interesting. So what's really cool is this X-Men revival, because they have the show from the animated series that's back, X-Men 97. I just watched this morning's episode, and it's interesting. I find it to be super mature compared to the older source material, but I think, or the older cartoon, but I think that has to do with the cartoon is aging up with its fans, which on one hand, that's okay, but on the other hand, what it's doing is and this is a complaint, and I don't know if I'm going to go too far on this show about this, but anyway, it's going into kind of the modernization of dramatic storytelling in TV right now, where, okay, there we go, where there's this sort of, it's like, okay, what's some melodramatic scene? Let's extreme one end dramatic, pull the viewer back. Extreme the other end dramatic, pull the viewer back. Within a 30-minute block that has no commercials and limited action. Whereas I'm at the same time watching the older cartoon with my son, and it is under 20 minutes because there's no commercials. And so it quickly gets to the point. It doesn't, it still has the drama of the old cartoons, but it's balanced nicely with the action. I think this modern one, the episodes are longer, and so there's a lot more melodramatic stuff going on, to the point to where they've kind of, again, I think I'm going too far into this, but they've overlooked the baseline of what the X-Men show is and just immediately dumped us into the dramatics. What that does is it makes it hard to really get a sense of risk because we don't know what the baseline is. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. Speaking of X-Men, Xbox is doing the sweepstakes where they have this like Series X that's either painted or with the skin of some sort on there of a comic. And then there's these controllers, and they're like in action figure packaging. The thing is, they have controllers for every character. You can't buy this stuff, actually. This is just for a sweepstakes. So I entered, obviously. But this is pretty cool. And I bet this is something you could go to the design labs. Yeah, the Xbox controller labs to design that look of a controller. But what's cool is the packaging here. Very neat stuff. Very neat stuff. Okay. The other thing that I found interesting, let's look at this. The Microsoft authorized GameSir X4 launches as Backbone 1 mobile game controller challenger. So this is a big deal right now because where Sony kind of officially backed a mobile phone controller. And, that kind of says something about, PlayStation wanting to move outside of the PlayStation ecosystem, in a way, hardware-wise. And, we could see that. In fact, I was using my G8. Let me get that. I was talking about, I think, yesterday, the day before, I was playing Stellar Blade on my PS5 with this controller. This is a GameSir controller also, but this is like a console controller. This is a full-on gamepad, and it feels excellent. So then Microsoft has realized, we need to have our own kind of out there. And I guess this is the one that GameSir is working on. It looks like there is a bit of a curve and grip to the back of the controller, but I would prefer it to be more like this. I want to see more iterations of this, even though clicking D-pad, like it's weird to say this, but I feel like this is the best controller that you could get right now, yet it's only on a mobile phone. It's crazy. I don't know how to explain it. So it is interesting that they're coming out with this just because it's I mean, one, it's really cool that Microsoft is actually kind of officially backing something, but two, I was thinking something more to really differentiate themselves. Like they should have. Oh, and here's a link to if you go here to the G8, then we get the good controller. This is what I was hoping Microsoft would, because I really feel like a controller like this makes it serious. It's like, yes, gaming can be comfortable on a mobile phone. You just have to have the right grips, and this controller does that. It's a great controller. Anyway, so my point here is this is good. Oh, this guy's doing some workouts. I need to do that. It's good that Microsoft's going in this direction where they want to officially support controllers that are going to be used on phones, just because I would think Microsoft would do that ahead of Sony, and they kind of did in a way, but more of talking about what their services can do and then relying on third party. Microsoft needs to come out with their own controller. Anyway, that's that. I think it's exciting to see that because that means that's the direction the industry's going. All right, Sonic 3 movie will take a lot from Sonic Adventure 2, producer confirms. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3 will feature Shadow's big screen debut when it comes to theaters later this year, and fans can expect more Sonic Adventure 2 influences to show up too. So we learned that it'll feature its iconic Live and Learn theme earlier this year. That is amazing. So yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 came out right when I graduated high school, and or right before, around that time. What's amazing to me was I loved Sonic games, and then I feel like once the N64 era hit, Sega, wasn't really doing much with Sonic, even on the Saturn. Then once we got the Dreamcast and we got the first Sonic Adventure, that game blew me away. I remember the first time I saw it, it was a Funkoland in Irving, Texas. The guy had a CRT TV on the counter, and when I walked in and I saw that it was there and I was watching, I was like, dude, Sonic in 3D looks amazing. And we got to admit, the Dreamcast graphics looked really great. In fact, Dreamcast graphics are sort of a baseline standard if you want to kind of create a low-budget game. I mean, because it looks clear, just obviously lower polygons. So the movie, even though the movies aren't exactly what I want, they're inoffensive, and they are fun, and they are cool, and it's made Sonic popular. And Jim Carrey, again, a childhood favorite of mine, as Dr. Robotnik, just further blows my mind. So I'm just excited that there's going to be, another live action movie that's going to like double down on the adventure aspect. And what does that mean? I don't know. So some important moments in Sonic Adventure 2 see Sonic and his friends traveling to space, taking care of little blue beings called Chow, running from killer semi-trucks, causing destruction in mechs, and fighting off giant bioengineered lizards. It's a game that constantly seeks to up its scale at every turn. And what's actually neat is by the time we get to Sonic Adventure 2, a lot of the design of the world and the levels are like Earth-based stuff. Stuff that shows up in the Sonic 1 and 2 movies. So, I don't know. I find that's exciting that it's going to have more Sonic Adventure 2 stuff in there. It's really cool. Ultronimous Dreamcast was ahead of its time. It certainly was. I vividly remember that time period. I remember when I think I was at a Chili's with a girl I was dating. And I just remember overhearing a table next to me where people were like, yeah, the Dreamcast is done now. Sega's quitting. They're getting it. And I was like, oh, man. And I knew it at that time. It's just hearing other people talk about it was interesting to me because it made it seem like it was bigger than me when it comes to video games. Like, it was like the world was mourning about the Dreamcast, whereas the executives at Sega didn't realize they really had something there. But it was all that infighting. So fascinating. If you ever want to read the story about like Sega of America, Sega of Japan, even what Sony was doing to fight Sega, which was pretty sad. Like, it was all... the Dreamcast could have stayed around. It really could have. They just were making bad mistakes. All right, so that's that. So let's then dive into what random news happened this morning. Because a lot of times what I'll do is like I pulled news from yesterday I thought was interesting. Okay. Suspect charged for canceling Nintendo Japan events by threatening to kill everyone for shitty games. Yeah, that I think we had heard that they got the suspect, but now he's been charged. So, yeah. PS5 system update adds community game help feature. PS5 system update, blah, 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 is now rolling out to players, to all players. The update adds the community game help features. This feature will automatically capture footage from players who opt into the feature and serve them to players looking for help in a specific area of supported games. Wow. I like that idea. So you could be playing a game, you turn on a feature that it then records your gameplay if you happen to be doing something awesome, and then that could be accessed by people needing help somewhere. I like that idea. You mean, in fact, I feel like this stuff should be at a game level, and I think we'll probably start seeing it maybe in the next few years where in-game will be the ability to just capture what you're doing, play what you're, show off what you're doing. And even Stadia had a very interesting feature where it's like you could resume from someone else's game state and continue. I feel like there can be more of that happening. That's like, I feel like that's one of these auxiliary features that are going to be normal for games in the future, and it's going to be where you're actually manipulating a state of the game, more than just like save points and everything. So that's pretty interesting. All right, some Fallout news, but that's okay. Understanding the future of brands' place in games, of brands' place in games. I don't know what they're trying to say here, but I don't know. Okay, PUBG Battlegrounds, a Rangel Classic map will return. I haven't played PUBG since it came out, and while it was fun, it wasn't my thing. League of Legends player suspended for streaming inappropriate behavior with a stuffed bear. Well, that sounds like they've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. The player claims he was only hugging and rocking a little bit. That's funny. I wonder if the guy was just goofing off, was humping that stuffed bear, and then they're like, hey, that's inappropriate, but hey. Fallout games gather 5 million players in one day. Wow, I was typically ignoring the Fallout news because we get it, but it's cool to see that. Like, how the medias are working together, even without a new Fallout game. So good for them. Let's see. Layoffs, it happens. Bit Trip Runner Remastered, interesting. I remember when that game first came out, that was around the time where, like, indies were first coming out, but then also being showcased. Not my type of game, but it is cool. Oh, here we go. Switch Online's N64 app gets 2 more games today. Extreme G. Wow. It's been a while since I've played Extreme G, but I remember enjoying it. I'm going to have to go check that out here after this. And then this other one, Wrecking Balls. Iggy's Wrecking Balls? I have never heard of that, unless I look at the box art and I'm like, but no, that looks like any typical N64 3D platformer mascot box art. Even though that might not be what the game is, it looks like it's more of a monkey ball game. Interesting. Okay, that might be worth checking out. Are both of these Acclaim? Because I know, so Iggy's is Acclaim, and I'm pretty sure, what was it called? I just forgot. Extreme G. I spelled that wrong. Yeah, Acclaim. Interesting. I wonder who owns Acclaim. Man, looking at the screenshots brings me back. I gotta play this again. That is really cool. Extreme G. I remember the old GamePro ads. It was a racing game, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check this out on my Switch after this. That is really cool. Let's see. Dang, some more Fallout news. More about the Nintendo Switch stuff. Yeah, and when I see news like this, it's like, you know, something about drama. It's like, man, there must not be interesting game news, you know? Yeah, and again, they're just repeating the Fallout stuff. Let's see, Lumote, the Master Mote Chronicles headed to PS5. What is Lumote? A cooperative mode called Lumote. Wait, okay. Now, the Master Mote Chronicles. Okay, and it just has a cooperative. The way they had that sentence afterwards didn't make sense to me. I've never heard of this. Let's see, Lumo. Oh, you know what? Maybe I have heard of this. No, actually, I haven't. Interesting. So this is a puzzle game. Huh. Really cool. Maybe we'll hear more about this. Not something I am too interested in, but I'll keep my ear out if people happen to have good things to say about it. Okay, Hotel Architect. That's pretty neat. Is that like a theme park or hospital or those games, but it's a hotel? Okay. Gory Cuddly Carnage. Okay, let's look at that. That sounds interesting. Wow, okay, the colors, the imagery is very similar to what we were just looking at, but this looks neat. And I think I've heard of this. It's a skateboarding cat that fights things. Look at that. This actually looks pretty neat. I love the stylized nature, but yet the highly detailed look. And then are we like shredding off the walls? Like this is really neat. Huh. Okay. Well, if let's see what this news was about. So, it comes out August 29th on all platforms. And this is Wired Productions and Angry Demon Studio. Okay. $20. Okay, so Gory Cuddly Carnage is a throwback to the games I played in the late 90s and 2000s. It's pure adrenaline, fun, outrageous, and really a showcase of just what indie gaming is all about. A place for creativity, freedom, and the ability to make the game you want to make. Angry Demon Studio did just this. I couldn't be more excited for its launch on August 29th. Doesn't a game come out August 30th? That's a big deal, because it's like my birthday. And then we got that on the 29th. Cool. That looks neat. Play as a badass cat. That's all you need to say. Okay. Yeah, we'll check that out when it comes out. Dig VR. Let's see. Deliver us the moon. I remember hearing about that. FTC bans non-compete clauses. Oh. I mean, we probably have to look more into it, but I wonder if this means just in general, or it specifies maybe industry or the type of work. All right, PlayStation Plus Premium has added 4 new game trials. I don't even know if I have Premium. I forget which one. I think I have the Essentials, or whatever the one is where you get not gold, but the Plus, or all this stuff is so confusing. The one where you can play online, that's what I have. So, Exoprimal, you only get 30 minutes, which I don't think that's enough time. Gris, 1 hour, and Trek to Yomi, 1 hour. Trek to Yomi for 1 hour, that might be pretty good. Shadow Warrior 3. I mean, to be honest, I think it's great that there's demos, but they shouldn't be just for premium members. I really think these trials should be available for anyone, because that's going to give more advertising to those games for people to be like, yeah, I'll just try this out. It's free. And it's like, you know what? I will spend my money on this. So, yeah, but PlayStation is really trying to figure out what to do with everything. Not just their sort of subscription service, but also what to do with their games, what to do with multi-platform. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Anything else interesting? You know what? That No Rest for the Wicked. I was looking at more details about that game. So that's the Ori developers, and I don't like Ori, even though it's a Metroidvania. It's just not my type of Metroidvania. Or maybe you guys can convince me to go back to it. Autonomous, I'm curious what you think about Ori. But No Rest for the Wicked is really just a Souls-like. This is how I interpret it. It's a Souls-like with a God of War camera, which I like that idea. And also the way the game works too, from what I understand, it's a Souls-like that is made just a step easier. So, for instance, when you kill enemies in an area and you go back to an area, those enemies are dead. So if you have to like go back to fight a boss, you don't have to worry about all the enemies showing up. But here's the thing: it's in early access, and I used to do this before. I would, if there's a game I really want to play and it's in early access, I would just play it, but then I would be underwhelmed. And then there's games that I never played in early access, and then they get like a release announcement like a year later of its like actual release, or maybe 2 years later, and then it's like a different game and there's more stuff to it. And I'm like, man, it's almost like the industry has taught me to ignore early access. It was the same thing with that Starship Troopers Extermination game. Like, I really liked it, but it was like, yeah, there's a lot more they need to do here, and they just came out with an update that looks incredible. I need to try it. So that's that. Okay, some of this news is going into yesterday. So I think, oh, here's something interesting. Everything we know about Assassin's Creed Hex. Hearing about a new game in a beloved franchise is always exciting, following the most recent trilogy of Assassin's Creed titles making waves, which focus more on open world RPG than stealth action mechanics. But what do we know about Assassin's Creed Hex? Okay, let's look at this real quick as like the last thing. Of course, it's still early days, but we know a bit about Assassin's Creed Hex. The upcoming game developed by Ubisoft Montreal focuses heavily on witchcraft. That's a neat aesthetic to kind of turn to. It is supposedly set in Central Europe sometime during the 16th century Holy Roman Empire period. Hex follows a more linear approach like old school Assassin's Creed games compared to the likes of Assassin's Creed Valhalla Odyssey. I like the sound of that, even though I loved Origin. Origin was great. Players take on the role of Elsa, a female protagonist with supernatural powers of some type. A dark, dank city will play a central role in the game's setting. The current logo for the game features a cult alphabet of the Magi, translated to "We work in the dark to serve the light." I love the sound of that. I didn't know about this. No official new blah 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 release date. Yeah, because isn't there another Assassin's Creed game that's supposed to be coming out this year? And then the one in Japan. Maybe I haven't been keeping track, but anyway, that was about it for today. Not too much crazy news. I think some of the cool stuff I got from this is I want to play Extreme G on Nintendo Switch. That's for sure. And is there anything else? No, I think it's cool what they're doing with Sonic 3, making it more like Sonic Adventure 2. Are you a fan of Sonic Adventure 2? Are you a fan of the Sonic movies? So does that make you a fan, or are you excited about Sonic 3? I am, because I feel like, again, they're doing it in an inoffensive way where it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. So there we go. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Autonomous, in the chat. Hope you all have a good rest of the day, and I will see you.